We've got Brendan Gaughran with me of Liver Medic. You know, he is the man who keeps my liver and metabolism and everything together. Attributed to losing 80 pounds last year. My goal this year is to lose another 100 pounds. In case you didn't know, of course you should if you're watching my show, Brendan is a molecular biologist who focuses on pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals, and his experience in the health industry spans over 20 years. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Well, today we're going to be talking about a big deal. We're going to be talking about nutrition and the Super Bowl, at Super Bowl 50 particularly. And of course, you know that if you're doing all the right things, or at least trying to do all the right things, you know that on Super Bowl Sunday, you ain't gonna do nothing right. And so I had Brendan come on to talk about all the things that you could do right or could modify or just be mindful and aware of if you're planning a Super Bowl party or if you are attending a Super Bowl party and are going to kind of let your hair down, or in my case, let your hair grow back. I don't know. But anyway, Brendan, give me some tips here. We were talking in the green room. You were giving some awesome tips about, I guess, different types of alcohol, different types of meat, things to modify. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, I want to give just a few highlights. I mean, nobody wants to be the wet blanket when it comes to these parties. I know that drinking is a big deal, and I know that eating is a big deal, and I know it from personal experience, and I never really sacrifice taste when it comes to this stuff. But you don't need to stay healthy. So let's go over a few real quick tips. Number one, if you're going to be choosing carbs or sugar at a party, you definitely want to stay away from sugar. That's sort of an easy one. It's sort of an overall inflammatory for the system, and just avoid it would be great, especially when you compound it with alcohol. That really makes it very difficult for the system to go through its normal processes.
What about alcohol?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's going to be a major consumption item for sure. So a lot of people like beer. They prefer beer over wine. Obviously, wine is preferable health-wise to beer. Moderate consumption, of course, I don't really need to say that. But if you're going to choose beer, the best choices nowadays are GMO-free beer, organic beer, gluten-free beer. They may not necessarily say GMO-free, but if you're going to get organic, it probably does not have GMOs in there. If you're going to get gluten, it probably doesn't have many GMOs in there. And it's really those genetically modified organisms that carry all the pesticides that go into your system and create all kinds of havoc with your digestive tract and then infiltrate your liver and create problems. So if you're going to go with a beer, gluten or organic is your best bet for sure.
Now, you said something earlier when we were talking in the green room that wine is the preferred. I'd never heard of such a thing. Really?
Yeah, it has a lot of individual components in it that are actually good for our cardiac system, preferred over beer. I mean, you know, there was a time when doctors used to say, look, for stress and for all those things, it's good to consume a half a glass of wine. I don't see a whole lot of people consuming a half a glass of wine at a Super Bowl 50 party. But if you're going to consume, you know, a 6-pack of beer versus a glass or two of wine, the glass or two of wine, of course, is preferable. So it's lowering caloric intake for one thing. And, you know, alcohol is alcohol. It's going to put some strain on the liver. So, of course, you know, having a good liver product like hepatibin is always a nice chaser for that.
Okay, good. This is good to know. What about hard liquors, you know, the hard spirits?
Yeah, the one caveat I would put to that is, again, try not to mix the hard alcohol with the sugars, because it puts an additional strain on the system. You're basically leveraging your liver and your pancreas at the same time. And sugar and alcohol end up doing some devastating things when combined in your digestive tract. Again, what we're trying to do is maintain good intestinal health, and that certainly, if you can avoid that, would be a huge benefit to you, for sure.
Wow, thank you for that. That's huge. All right, where's the beef? What about the meat?
Where's the beef? Yeah, so the first thing I usually tell people is try and stay away from pork. It's the most acidic meat out there. There's vegetarian alternatives to that. Hell, they even have vegan alternatives to bacon bits nowadays. So it shouldn't be too difficult.
Wow.
The other thing I recommend, you can have your burgers, okay? Make sure it's grass-fed. If you go into Whole Foods and you're picking up grass-fed meat over there, just be careful. They were just found out that a lot of their suppliers are feeding them that GMO corn, and then the last week before slaughter, they're giving them grass and trying to get around that piece. So if you're picking up grass-fed meat over at Whole Foods, you might not be getting what you think you're getting. The other piece of this is stay away from your hot dogs, that kind of stuff, full of nitrates, no good for you. If you're going to be consuming wings, of course, that's a huge thing at a Super Bowl party.
Sure.
They're going to be usually baked, and then they're going to be fried, okay? If you're going to fry them, make sure that it doesn't touch canola oil. That stuff's super dangerous for you, and that's the same thing with the chips. Coconut oil tastes great. It fries them up, it gives them a nice golden color, and it's super healthy for you. So that's a great alternative. When it comes to chips and dips and those kinds of things, I know that's going to be certainly up there. Just avoid the fried chips, okay? Baked chips are always the best. If you see things like soy oil or canola oil on there, you should avoid that at all costs, okay? Alternatives to that would be best. The other things I want to make a quick note of, Food Babe did a really interesting article in the last week or so on traditional, we're talking about the Frito-Lay, you know, the big 600-pound gorilla in the market. They're switching over. They're switching over from their regular line in their potato chips to a GMO-free line. That means GMO-free potatoes. That means GMO-free oils that they're using. That's a huge, and that's all consumer driven, and it's wonderful to see. And the other big 600-pound gorilla in the room, like Doritos, we haven't quite pushed them over to the organic GMO-free piece yet, but they did just get rid of MSG, which is, of course, a neurotoxin and not good to have in your body. So those are things that you could start to look at as alternatives in the grocery store aisle. So that's important.
Wow. Okay, so you can save your liver on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yep, not a problem, not a problem. And you know, I know there's certainly a lot of customers and patients of ours are going to cheat on that day. I cheat on a regular basis. Okay.
Or just that weekend. I know I got plans. I'm just saying.
Right. Exactly.
It's not going to be just Sunday.
No.
It's going to be days leading up to Sunday.
Right. Exactly. You know, once you end up pushing out a lot of the healthy stuff out of your digestive tract, the major opportunistic organism that moves in is Candida, and that loves carbs, sugar, alcohol, and that's what you're going to be feeding on that day, that weekend, whatever. You know, make sure you have a product like Candida Complex, which is a broad spectrum, gets rid of, so once you feed them, you kill them off, so that it doesn't get an opportunity to gain a foothold in your digestive tract and sort of ruin the weeks coming ahead. So that's a good way of sort of tailoring and taking back your health. You can cheat, that's okay. You can even cheat healthy, which is great. But those are some pretty good tips to go by.
I appreciate it, my friend. It's Super Bowl 50, ladies and gentlemen. It's huge. You've got your nutritional track. You've got your information from Brendan Gaukerin, Liver Medic. Thanks for being with me, my friend.
Thank you, as always. Appreciate it.